Hey, welcome back to the Pete White Show on Sunday night at 8 p.m. Hope everyone had a good Valentine's Day yesterday. I'm back from Brooklyn now for All-Star Weekend, and we're back in the studio in Newbury. And today's show is brought to you by Bill and Peg's Diner on Memorial Ave. Best breakfast food in the city. I'm going to get right to it today. First of all, I have two main topics. The first one is Little League Baseball. I think that it's interesting that Little League Baseball, after congratulating themselves all summer about how great it was that the Urban Initiative was now working because they had two teams make it to the World Series because of the Urban Initiative, in their opinion. And now we find out that after, like I said, patting themselves on the back all summer, we find out that after the fact, Little League finds out that some of the players for the team from Chicago were ineligible players because they'd lived outside the boundaries of that league. I think that Little League should spend some of that television money to figure out a mechanism to find out who is eligible and who isn't eligible prior to the playoffs. Because what about the team that Chicago beat in the first round and knocked them out of the Little League World Series, the Little League playoffs, who could have been the best team in that region and made it to the Little League World Series? I mean, most people are only thinking about the team from Las Vegas, that was the American runner-up. I think that, like I said, the League needs to improve eligibility. Now we did have two teams from the Urban Initiative, I guess, who made it to the Little League World Series, but making it to the Little League World Series is not, I don't think, what the Urban Initiative is all about. I think what it's all about is giving people an opportunity to play baseball. And Little League has made some other decisions recently that I don't think were in the best interest of the children. I would like to know what the reasons were, but I know, for instance, the starting times of ball games are kind of late now, where they used to be much earlier. I know that they allow 13-year-olds to play now. They moved the date back for Little League Baseball so that 13-year-olds, not just people who were born in August, but 13-year-olds who were born months earlier than that, are now eligible to play. And I also know that this last year that Little League changed their boundaries and said you can either live in the boundary of the Little League, or if your school is located in the boundary of the Little League, you can play for that Little League. For instance, if somebody lived in Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, and they went to St. John Newman Regional Academy, which is in the Williamsport area Little League, what used to be called Brandon area, then somebody from Jersey Shore could play at Williamsport area Little League. And I would like to know how that benefits the children. Like, how is that decision made in the best interest of the children? It seems to me that decision was made because Little League has to compete now with traveling teams, for good baseball. And also, not bringing liquids to the games when it's hot in the summer to the Little League World Series games. How is that in the best interest of the people watching the game? It used to be when I was a kid that we would go to the game and my parents would pack some coolers. We'd have some chicken. We would have some drinks that we brought ourselves because it was hot in August, and we would enjoy the game. So I think that Little League needs to get back to what's the best interest of the children rather than television contracts and patting themselves on the back on the 75th anniversary about Urban Initiative without doing any investigation ahead of time, and then quietly, taking away a United States championship from a bunch of kids. Maybe they should, before they congratulate themselves about how great they did, that they should have spent some time figuring out, whether these players are eligible. Okay. If you have any comments on Little League Baseball, please, when we get to set Pete straight, just text 570-244-6600, and you can let me know your thoughts are, especially thoughts that are different than mine. I love to hear the other side. Okay. Now, next topic today is Mayor Campan and the city police force. Now, as everyone knows, Mayor Campan has admitted to the fact that there's a crime and drug problem in the city of Williamsport. And today, and this past Wednesday in the newspaper, I'm reading a quote from Mayor Campan. He said, "The courts are failing us." Lycoming County does not have a police force. The city of Williamsport does. I'm not sure what he means by the courts are failing us. He's talking about the recidivism rate, but maybe if people who commit crimes get arrested and that we stop people from committing crimes with our police force, that we'd be better off than fighting crime by taking away recreational facilities. I mean, I've never really heard that except in the city of Williamsport, that taking away recreational facilities is the way to fight crime. You know, we replace basketball courts with hopscotch and foursquare and pickleball, which no one's even heard of. And then we take basketball courts out at Newbury Park years ago that kind of went under the radar, and we replaced them with a little more playground facility, which is fine, but the basketball courts and the tennis courts are gone. And then we put in some bocce ball courts. I'm Italian American and I like bocce ball, but it's nowhere near as popular as basketball is in America. So I think the way to fight crime is to get down to the real issue. And the issue is admittedly, Mayor Gabe says, hey, we have a heroin problem in Williamsport. We have a drug problem in Williamsport. And hey, we have a crime problem in Williamsport that may or may not be related to that drug problem. So what he needs to do is he needs to fight crime, and not by passing the buck and saying it's the court system. I mean, President Judge Butts does not have a police force. I mean, she is a sitting judge. Mayor Gabe Campana does have a police force, and it's part of the administration. And rather than passing the buck and trying to blame it on the judges or the court system or like Cumming County officials, Gabe needs to look in the mirror and say, hey, how do we resolve this? Now, I offered him on Facebook that I told him that I would help him if he asked me. He hasn't taken me up on that offer, but that's not a problem. I mean, hopefully he has some experts out there. Also, he responded to me on Facebook, and he thanked somebody, who cursed at me on Facebook. Now, in Mayor Gabe's defense, he did do the right thing. After he realized that he mistakenly thanked someone who cursed at me on Facebook, he did say that cursing does not belong anywhere, in a public debate about politics or what's in the best interest of the children or what's in the best interest of the city dwellers in Williamsport. So once again, Gabe, when you do something right, I'm going to tell you did something right, and that is correct. I mean, what we need to do is have respectable debate. And as I told you last week, name calling doesn't bother me at all. But I do respect the fact that you told one of your supporters that's really not the way to go. Come up with some substantive things to say, and rather than deflecting the problems to something else, we need to have a conversation about crime in Williamsport. We need to have a conversation about drugs in Williamsport, and we need to do something about it instead of just playing lip service to it. I mean, I know that there's a heroin task force, there's a drug task force, and we had a previous show about this. I never got a phone call back from anybody on the task force. The people that I know on the task force have said that it's mostly just a figurehead thing, that they really haven't done anything substantive, and that's what we want. We want the police force and the mayor's office, the administration, to do something substantive about crime. We want our children to be able to walk the streets with no problems. We don't want drug pushers, approaching our children, giving them drugs. I mean, what you need to do is find people that can advise you about these things, and instead of deflecting to other topics like, oh, we're going to have an arena downtown for rich people to have their kids play ball. I mean, what we need is recreational facilities for all walks of life. And as I said before, I mean, basketball is a poor man's sport. It is not something like hockey where you have to pay a lot of money for equipment. It's not something like tennis or golf, which are country club sports. I mean, basketball is a city sport, and you're the mayor of the city of Williamsport. So rather than taking away basketball hoops to fight crime, let's get something substantive out there. And like I said, I'm offering you my help. I know a lot of city leaders. When I walk down the street in Williamsport, or I drive my convertible when it's nice weather out, people say hello, Pete, hello, Mr. White, all the time. Because I don't sit in an ivory tower or in City Hall or in like Cumming County Courthouse and not get together with the people. As I've been saying for weeks, I mean, Williamsport, we are family. I mean, I think it's great when someone shakes my hand and say, hey, Mr. White, good to see you. Or they give me a hug. I walk into Shamrock and some of the people in the Shamrock, they shake my hand and give me a hug and they say, hey, great to see you, Pete. I haven't seen you in a while. I mean, that's what should happen with the mayor and the DA. I mean, you can't just live in an ivory tower. You need to get out there and meet the people, okay? And quit making excuses. I mean, get your priorities straight. Look in the mirror in the morning when you brush your teeth and ask yourself, are you doing what's best for Williamsport? Are you doing what's in the best interest of our children? Are you doing what's in the best interest of fighting crime? And stop worrying about hockey in the winter outside and arenas for wealthy kids. I mean, we need to do is help the people that have trouble helping themselves. And Williamsport has a lot of that. And, when I walk down the street, if anybody needs help, they ask me, and I try to do the best that I can. And that's how it should be. Okay, now we're going to text Pete straight. So if anyone has any comments about the mayor, 570-244-6600. Text line is open right now. And let's see here. First text. Just learned all of the Bowman Field Commission members resigned. They feel worthless and not listened to. Blaming Mayor Gabe for some reason. It's a good source at City Hall is what it's signed by. Okay, now, if the Bowman Field Commission, if all of the members resign because they don't think they're being heard, then that's obviously a problem with the administration. I mean, what good is having a commission if you're not going to take their advice? That doesn't mean that you need to follow their advice. I mean, like I've said before on the show, when you're an assistant coach, you give the head coach suggestions, and the head coach makes decisions. So in this case, the assistant coach is the Bowman Field Commission, and he gives Mayor Gabe, who's the head coach, a suggestion. And what Mayor Gabe can do is he can either take the suggestion and it's right, he can take the suggestion and it's wrong, he can not take the suggestion and he was right, or he can not take the suggestion and he was wrong. But if you constantly don't take the suggestion, then your assistant coaches feel worthless. And hopefully the Bowman Field Commission is spending time trying to do what's best for Bowman Field and for the people of Williamsport. And if they feel like that they're not being listened to ever, then there's no sense having a commission. So I could understand how they feel. Let's see, we got another one here. I work in City Hall and I can't say my name. However, the mayor is all about, look at me, look at what I can do. We need a new mayor this year. Please vote. The most important thing, whether you vote for Mayor Gabe or not, you must vote. Okay? If Mayor Gabe gets the most votes, then the majority of people want him to be mayor. I'm hoping that isn't the case, but if it is, then it is. Make sure you register. If you're not registered, now tomorrow's a holiday, but on Tuesday, go to voter registration. It's in the Santander building across from City Hall now. It's on the first floor. You walk right between Julie's Coffee Shop and Santander Bank into the back of that building on the first floor to voter registration. Fill out your voter form. I'm sure Mrs. Adams will help anyone who wants to register to vote. Make it a priority this week. Get down there to register to vote. Like I said, I don't think it's open tomorrow because tomorrow is a federal and I believe a state and county holiday for President's Day. But on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, get down there and register to vote if you know you're not registered. If you are registered, or if you're not sure if you're registered, or if you're not sure where you're registered, call voter registration. I'm sure Mrs. Adams and her staff will be happy to let you know any information you need. You know, where your voting place is, your polling place, whether you're registered, and anything you need to know. That's what she's there for. I've been in there before, and she's always been very helpful. And I suspect she's like that with anyone. Okay, another text Pete straight. The mayor seems like he is all for the white community. Do you feel the same? Stacy. I'm not sure about that, but I do know this. I mean, being a former basketball player and a basketball coach, I mean, I was taught, that you have to do what's best for everyone. And what's best for everyone includes all the communities. Black, white, purple, green, it makes no difference. It makes no difference what religion. It makes no difference what sexual orientation. In fact, you're supposed to pay, in my opinion, you're supposed to pay special attention to those who can't take care of themselves, like people who are special needs, people who don't have the income, let's say, that other families do. So I'm not sure if the mayor is ignoring the black community, but I think by taking away basketball hoops, he certainly is. I'm not sure what else he's done to ignore the black community. Putting up pickleball courts is not helping the black community. In fact, I don't think it's helping any community. That's just a waste of money and a waste of space down there. However, like I said, when I walk down Memorial Ave, black, white, purple, it makes no difference. People say, hey, Mr. White, how are you doing? Good to see you. And that's how it should be with the mayor, with any public official. As I said before, get out of the ivory tower, get out and meet the people. And the people are not just the ones who live in Valmont. The people is everyone. Okay, it's Memorial Ave, it's Newberry, all over the city. Okay, I heard the police chief doesn't really like the mayor, and that's why he wants to run for district judge. Now, I don't know if that's the case, but I do know that he's running for district magistrate because Karn is retiring, and that Chief Forsman is running for magistrate, which means that if he did win that election, and by the way, I hope he does not, because I think an attorney is running against him, someone who knows about the Constitution. Remember who the Constitution protects us from. The Constitution protects us from policemen and from city officials and county officials, the government, the administration. And when you have a choice between an attorney running for district magistrate and a former police officer running for district magistrate, in my opinion, 9 times out of 10, you got to go with the attorney, because he understands the Constitution, he understands people's rights, and hopefully he understands not to violate them. Whereas it seems to me that district justices that are former policemen, for the most part, do not understand the Constitution. They went to a 6-week school, to learn, and that was it. They didn't spend 3 years in law school and then a bunch of years practicing law. But anyhow, if Chief Forsman does become district magistrate, then Mayor Campaign will have to appoint a new chief of police, and hopefully that new chief of police will do a better job of stamping out crime and stamping out drugs in Williamsport. That we won't see quotes like, "We're seeing 75% or more repeat offenders," said City Police Chief Gregory A. Forsman. I would like to know where he gets that. I mean, like, there's no cite to where that came from, or whether he just made that up. And then we have Assistant Police Chief saying, "We want people to know that many of these individuals committing crimes on a regular basis, most are preventable if they remain locked up and are not released on our streets. Police are doing their jobs." Well, that's another case of people patting themselves on the back. This is just like Little League Baseball. So Assistant Chief Tim Miller is saying police are doing their jobs. So in other words, he's patting himself on the back. I mean, I thought that you were taught that other people are supposed to tell you that you're doing a good job. You don't tell yourself you're doing a good job. I mean, when I get comments on Facebook, you'll never see me saying, "Hey, I think because I had 10,000 views of my show last week that I'm doing a good job and I'm helping people." I would never say that. What I try to do is promote debate out there with free speech and say, "Hey, I like these things," or "I don't like these things." And Assistant Chief Miller is talking about, well, if we just locked everybody up, there wouldn't be crime. Well, I don't know if that's really the issue. It seems to me, I agree more with Judge Butts, that there has to be some kind of reentry program, and there should be some social service to help these people once they get out of prison and serve their time, to help them find a job, help them find a place to live, help them reunite with their families and make them productive members of society. And if I were the mayor, or if I were a Lycoming County official, that's what I would be doing for sure. I would not, like I said, and I hate to say this again, but I would not be sitting in the ivory tower and ignoring the fact that there's problems in Williamsport. I mean, what I would do is I would get out there and talk to the people that have the problems and find out what I can do to help them. Okay, now I got another one. Don't you realize 80% of our city's crime and shootings are by blacks? And this person doesn't have a name. Now, once again, there's no cite to where that came from, but it seems to me that last year we had, I can only remember 2 shootings in 2014, and I believe that one of them was on the East End, and if I remember correctly, there were 2 white people involved. I forget their names, but I'm pretty sure it was on the East End, and it was 2 Caucasian people. And so, saying that 80% of our city's crime and shootings are blacks, what about this? Our most recent crime, as far as I know, I didn't notice. The mayor just assumes that it's someone who was already in the system, but as far as I know, the shooting that was done on Tuesday, we don't know whether it was a black man or a white man. No one's been accused of it, or a black woman or a white woman. So to make some blanket statement about that is absolutely ridiculous. If people are shooting each other and they're Williamsport citizens, that's a problem. Because like I said, Williamsport, we are family. And we should not be shooting one another, we should be helping one another. And helping one another means to talk to the people that are rejoining society after being in prison to see what we can do for them. Not just locking people up for as long as we can. How's that going to help their family? It seems to me in the courthouse there's something about reuniting families, something that adult probation doesn't do, something that family courts and Judge McCoy, in my opinion, doesn't do. So once again, this is lip service. Lip service like Little League, the Urban Initiative. Lip service like the mayor. We're going to fight crime when all we're going to do is talk about it. We're not going to get out there and do anything. Someone had texted me earlier this week. They said, "Mr. White, you got to put your money where your mouth is and put your time where your mouth is." And I think that they're right, that I need to do something about it. And I may have an announcement next week, because I've been thinking very seriously about doing what they said, because I think that there can be some help with people, and the current people that are in elected office, in my opinion, are not giving that help. Why doesn't the mayor have the cops stop all blacks in the inner city after 9 p.m. He talks about taking our city back. Well, he needs to get tougher, Tom. If you're talking about a curfew, I know that has been suggested by city council, I believe. I know that when I was in high school, I played basketball, and Coach White had a curfew for his basketball players. On Sunday night through Thursday night, it was 9 p.m. We had to be in our house at 9 p.m. And he called every single player. And back then, of course, there were no cell phones. So when he called, your parents had to put you on the phone. They couldn't say you were asleep. He would say, wake them up. Now, I'm not sure if a curfew is the right way to do things, because that may be a problem with civil liberties. But I do know that if parents give their children a curfew, that will help. Because when I was in high school, it was very rare that basketball players got in trouble in the evenings, because at 9 p.m. on Sunday through Thursday, they needed to be at their house, and Coach White called them. Then on Friday nights, we had to be in at midnight, because usually we had a game on Saturday, so we had to be in by midnight. Now, he did not call the players on Friday nights. He expected that the players' parents and the players themselves would police each other. And then, of course, on Saturday nights, when we mostly had our home games, we were allowed to stay out and have some celebration, because the games didn't end until about 10 o'clock, because they started after 8 back then. But I suspect that me and most of my teammates rarely ever stayed out much past midnight anyway, because it just wasn't the right thing to do. So I'm not sure, I would have to look a little further into the civil liberties question with the 9 p.m. curfew, but I do think that good parenting is to have your children in at a particular time. Whether that time is 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, depends on the age. It also depends on the time of the year. Maybe in the winter the curfew should be a little bit earlier than in the summer. I know that today when I'm a little under the weather, and I apologize for my voice, but I think it's 3 degrees out there right now, and I know that as soon as the show ends, I'm going to grab some food and I'm going to head back to my house, because nothing good can be done tonight, especially for you young people out there. I would suggest having some family time. Got another set Pete straight. With all your views, do you think you can help get the mayor out of office? John. I'm not going to say, I know you put your last name on here, John, but I'm not going to say people's last names. It's probably better if it's, that people own up to their first name. I'm not saying my goal is to get the mayor out of office. One of my goals is to have a better mayor, and I think there's better people out there that could be mayor. I just don't think, there's nothing personal with Mayor Campana. Like I said, he may be a very good guy. I don't know him that well personally. We've never gone out for dinner. He's never invited me to be on any of his boards. Of course, like I said, I don't live in the city of Williamsport, even though I do consider myself a Williamsporter. I live in Old Lycoming Township. But I've never had a drink with Gabe, an adult beverage or a soft drink. I've never gone to dinner with him. I've never been to his house. He's never been to my house. So it's nothing personal. This is business. When someone isn't getting the job done, you got to call them out. Whether it's Gabe Campana, who's the mayor of Williamsport, whether it's the district attorney, Eric Linhart, whether it's the president of Little League Baseball, Steve Keener. If they're not getting the job done, you call them out. I'm from a family that is a bunch of teachers and basketball coaches. And when someone's not getting the job done, people in the stands, blame the coach. People in newspaper articles blame the coach. It comes with the territory. My father knew that when he got into the business of coaching. Mayor Campana knew that when he got into politics. D.A. Linhart knew that when he got into politics. Steve Keener knew that when he was busy congratulating himself this summer about how great the urban initiative is, and then he finds out that there was cheating going on. And, we didn't have any apology that I noticed anyway from Steve Keener to everyone out there, to all the children from Illinois that were beaten by a team that used illegal players. I didn't see Steve Keener apologize to any of those people in public. All I saw him do was, after patting himself on the back all summer, that now he says, oh, well, they used illegal players. Where's the apology to those kids, that lost to a team who had illegal players? If it were me, if I were the president of Little League Baseball, I would have apologized to those children immediately, because that's who Little League Baseball is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about the children, not about ESPN, not about TV networks, not about TV network money. It's supposed to be about the children. And at some point, I think that changed, because the urban initiative sounds good, and hopefully it's working in practice. But you don't judge whether it's working because a team makes it to the Little League World Series. You judge whether it's working based on the participation of urban children in Little League Baseball. If it is jumping by leaps and bounds, then the urban initiative is working. If it's not jumping by leaps and bounds, the urban initiative is not working. So I think you're using the wrong data to see whether it's working or not. So stop patting yourselves on the back and start getting out there and using real data, participation, because isn't that what Little League Baseball is all about? Okay, now it's time. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep it to half an hour. So now it's time to our civics lesson. Of course, as I mentioned, always Pete the repeat. Most important thing, if you want change, don't feel you're powerless. Make sure you register and then vote, which I mentioned earlier today. Make sure you register and then vote. And I think this is the perfect day for this. And as I said, I use the term civics kind of loosely because civics is mostly about the study of government. But I do need to say this, and this is what all of Williamsport basketball players were taught over the 20 years that Coach White was there. And it's very simple, and he said this on numerous occasions. It is better to lose than to cheat. So all of you adults out there, make sure you teach your kids, and you kids that are listening, you young adults that are listening, it is much better to lose than to cheat. I mean, if I were playing a card game and I had to cheat to win, I would much rather lose. If I were taking a test in school and I didn't study hard enough, and if I knew I could get away with cheating and that would give me a good grade, would I do it? Absolutely not. It is much better to lose than cheat, without question. Those adults out there in the Chicago area that were part of, the very sad Jackie Robinson West Little League fiasco, I assume the children didn't know what was going on. You adults should be ashamed of yourselves. You got to teach your children what's right, and what's right is it's much better to lose than cheat. What you need to do is work hard. If you're interested in something, if being valedictorian of your class is something that you want to do, you need to work hard to do it. As I say every week, happy are those who dream great dreams and are willing to work hard enough to make them come true. I mean, think about that. Happy are those who dream great dreams. Say that your dream is that you want to win the Illinois State Championship in Little League Baseball. I mean, that's a heck of a dream. I mean, that is an unbelievable goal. To make that goal, not only would I have to train in baseball for maybe 2 or 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, but I would need to make sure that Steven, my producer, trained for 2 or 3 hours, 6 days a week. I need to make sure my catcher trained for 3 or 4 hours, 6 days a week, that my pitchers didn't throw too much and travel ball and hurt their arms like happens locally around here. I would want to make sure that I did what was in the best interest of those children, and if that's what their goal was, I'd provide a roadmap for them to reach that goal. I mean, if the goal was for the children to make it to the Little League Baseball World Series, which is an unbelievable goal, then you'd have to work even harder. So happy are those who dream great dreams, that have these very, very high goals in life, in school, and anything, and are willing to work hard enough to make them come true. I mean, cheating is the easy way out. And what Little League Baseball should be teaching all of the children out there and all of their volunteers, that cheaters never win. I'm sure you've probably heard that as a kid. And instead of congratulating themselves, they should be concentrating on that and making sure that they hire district administrators that know when cheating is going on and nip that right in the bud. Now, our sponsors, remember, Steven is available, 570-244-6600. I want to thank Bill and Peg's Diner for sponsoring us tonight's show. Terrific food, breakfast and lunch, usually open until 2 or 3 o'clock every day on Memorial Ave. I want to thank Keystone State Camps. Basketball season is winding down to an end here. The regular season ended this past week, boys and girls. The playoffs are starting up next week. Can't wait to see the playoffs in basketball. Good luck to all the local teams. Once again, coaches out there, parents out there, remember, it's much better to lose than cheat. Teach your children the right way. Get in the gym 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, and train. Sometimes you have to miss a movie, or you can't go to your girlfriend's birthday party because you have to reach your goals by doing other things. Those are the people who are rewarded with wins and with enjoyment and putting smiles on people's faces. That's what athletics and entertainment is all about. Okay, so once again, contact my producer, Steven, 570-244-6600 for sponsors on the website or on the show. Now we're going to go to our shout-outs. I want to thank my Paisans from Brooklyn for having a terrific NBA All-Star weekend I spent. Friday and Saturday night was in Brooklyn, and today is in Manhattan for the All-Star game, which I did not have tickets for the All-Star game, so I left early to get back here for today's show. Of course, every week, H-Block, Totally Mental. Hope you guys are in good shape. Hopefully, I'm going to be writing a sitcom about H-Block, Totally Mental. Can't wait to get started on that project. Williamsport Proud, diversity, unity, we are family. Coach Cruz and Williamsport High School football program. Put your words into action, Coach Cruz, and we'll be in good shape. And as you said, give you 6 months. I think we should give you a little more time. But the most important thing are not your words, as you said in the press conference. It's your actions. And believe me, some of us that are alumni will be watching very closely because we want things turned around, do what's in the best interest of the kids, because that has not been happening for over a decade, in my opinion. Diggs, the Christian Diggs petition. Please, if you agree with me, get on the Pete White Show Facebook page. Let us know. Christian Diggs. Get him eligible right away from game 1, starting next year. And then lastly, of course, if there's anyone out there that with O positive blood type, please contact Steven, my producer. I spoke to Jim Mexdorf, my high school teammate, our inside player for our 30-0 state championship team from 1984. I spoke to him today. Still needs to get a kidney. So I wish it was me. I wish I was O positive, and all the rest of the tests I could do. Then I wouldn't have to ask for this. But unfortunately, I'm A positive, so I need somebody's help out there, and so does Jim. That's much more important than having a new mayor or any of this other stuff. Just to be selfish for a moment. Like, I need Jim to be around. I need him to be around longer than I am. He's a much nicer guy than I am. People depend on him. He coaches JV basketball. He teaches those guys in Albany to be young men. He has a new wife. He has stepdaughters. He has 2 sons. We need Jim to be around for a long time. So if anyone can help, please contact Steven. Much more important than anything else I've said tonight. Okay? And then, of course, our outro. That's going to wrap up the show. I wanted to stick within the half an hour as best I could since I don't feel good and Steven doesn't like me running overtime. Next week, we may be interviewing the person who made the Memorial Park rap video. The kid who did it, Goonsy. My producer Steven's going to try to get in touch with him this week. That would be great. That would be great if we can get in touch with him, because I think that the mayor took that too seriously. That it was supposed to be entertainment, and he thought that somehow that this kid was saying that there's crime problems. So I want to get it right from the source, from the young man who made the video. Okay, Williamsport, we are family. Lycoming County administration next week, drugs and crime. We're going to move from the city, which this week was the administration, the mayor, and the police force, to next week. We're going to go to Lycoming County officials. I know Gabe tried to pass the buck that the courts are failing us. So next week I'm going to give you my opinions on Lycoming County officials, because I don't think the courts are failing us, but I do think Lycoming County officials could be doing a lot better job with our drug and crime problem in Williamsport. Once again, hope anyone who didn't see the show, spread it around. Let's try to get another 10,000 views next week. Williamsport, we are family. Thank you for listening.